where are we in this crisis, and how should we think about what we've been through for the last several years, and what is the speed of progression in terms of the different things that are going on? You need to categorize your thinking into asking questions about, well, how far along are we in battling in the virus crisis? How far along are we in battling in the financial market crisis? And finally, how far along are we in battling the economic crisis that has come along? It looks like things are generally moving in the right direction, which of course still gives us confidence that for now it is possible to flatten the curve on the virus front, even without necessarily another shutdown later this year. So what have central banks done in different countries in response to the turbulence that we saw in financial markets? And you can see they basically all did the same thing, namely very aggressively cutting rates, very aggressively supporting financial markets. We're not quite back to where we were in February, but the trend is certainly your friend when it comes to financial system easing in terms of distresses overall. It does matter a heck of a lot what is the sources of financing, whether it's something that happens in the banking sector or something that happens in the market. There's still a number of issues when we think about private credit that are making us somewhat worried about what is ahead. The virus curve looks relatively good, and financial markets look relatively good. So let's now talk about the third and final bullet point, namely the economic recovery. Simply because the new dimensions of social distancing, suddenly you should not look at companies according to leverage and profit growth and R&D growth. Now you have to look at, is this a business that's in social face-to-face or social distancing is significant or not significant? Is this something that matters for older generations relative to younger generations? People that are more than 55 years old, they account for more than 40% of consumer spending. As you can see, these trends have been going up because there are more baby boomers, there are more people in the older generation. And the problem is that people in the older generation, of course, if they're going to stay home until there is a vaccine, then the risk is that they may therefore lower their consumer spending. We spend a lot of time talking about the GDP level and where we are now relative to where we've been historically. So it may actually take more time over here to get out of this before we get back to the pre-virus level relative to what we saw earlier. So this shows you the red line is that the unemployment rate has gone up a lot. The problem is that historically the unemployment rate in the blue line highly correlated with the loan delinquency rate. I begin to worry from a macro perspective that we will transition away from just a liquidity crisis to also being a solvency crisis, where many homeowners will begin to not be able to pay their mortgages. And the same thing comes on the corporate side. I'm 100% confident that Washington, D.C. is watching the exact same data that we are watching and are exactly observing that if there is a erosion in delinquency rates, if there's more increase in defaults and foreclosures, of course they might be coming with more in terms of initiatives. GDP will decline 39% in the second quarter. The CBO estimates that the unemployment rate will be 10% by the end of this year. This is very important for everything in housing. Finally, emerging markets, that's of course also one area where the virus has been having a very significant impact.